Part 42. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 439. After all, when Ver separated from everyone, he gave a warship to them, which actually made everyone very conspicuous. The security forces negotiated with the Straw Hat Pirates on this warship. A burly guard officer said, "Everyone, please explain your origins." Us. At this time, Luffy wanted to speak out, but Usopp and Rogram stopped him. Usopp said, "Be quiet. Everyone knows Luffy's big mouth. If he says any bad information, he will be caught by the other party." Nami stepped forward and said, "We are an expedition fleet from the Magnetic Drum Country. After sailing for many days, we arrived at Gaia Island. We hope to be able to resupply here. We will continue to sail on the Great Route for exploration." Nami lied without even blinking her eyes, as if it was real. But Rog and Sanji praised Nami in their hearts. The officer looked at Nami and then at the others. His eyes stopped on the giant wooden masts and sails on the deck of the Discovery. The giant wooden masts and sails Rogue created were trees and green leaves. "It looks very strange." The officer said, "This warship is really used for exploration. As long as you promise to respect the law in Magic Valley City and Gaia Island, you can park it after paying enough money." Hearing this, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Nami asked again, "Okay, how much will it cost?" The officer ordered to the side, "Tell them how much they need to pay." A guard in charge of statistics stood up, opened a notebook, and began to read. According to the port management law of Magic Valley City, ships that reach a size of 10 meters need to pay a basic berthing fee of 50 berries. If it is a warship, an additional 5 berries is required. The security management fee is 65 berries. A total of berries. And it's a daily fee, the guard read. Nami's face became very shocked, and she said together with Usopp and others, 65 Baileys. Usopp said, "Isn't this too expensive?" Sanji said, "Why do you charge so much?" Rog and Saran also felt that the cost was very high. Nami lowered her head and said nothing, her face becoming gloomy. "It's like the dark clouds before lightning and thunder." "Too expensive," Nami said suddenly. Nami raised her head and looked at the officer resentfully. Even the officer was overwhelmed by Nami's expression. Nami said sternly, "Your charges are too high. It costs so much to park for one day." The commander of the security force said, "I'm sorry, miss, this is the law here. Please pay, otherwise you will be deported." Rog quickly stood in front of Nami and said, "Okay, we just pay. Now that I have just arrived at Gaia Island, I still need to find out information and supplies. There must be no conflict at this juncture." The commander of the security force said, "Okay, that's enough. Now I have to pay enough money due to the constraints of others." Although Nami was annoyed, there was nothing she could do. After all, keeping the Discovery docked is the most important thing. Luffy wanted to beat the guard chief into the air. Nami said, "Okay, we'll pay. But we don't have enough cash. Need something of value to pay." The chief of the security force was silent for a moment, and said, "Okay." Nami and Sanji arrived in the cabin first. After a while, Nami and Sanji returned to the deck. This time Nami and Sanji place a pile of gold bars in front of the guards. "Okay, take it. These should be enough," Nami said. The guards were shocked when they saw these gold bars. Especially this officer, his face twitched. But he quickly regained his composure and said, "Okay." The guards took away the gold bars and got off the warship. Discovery was then guided to a mooring location. The behemoth of the Discovery is anchored. Everyone on the deck got off the warship one after another. Everyone set foot on the land of the island again. After leaving the port, everyone walked on the street. Luffy was very excited to see that he finally arrived in a relatively large port city. "Wow, I really want to eat a lot of it, Luffy said. Whenever Luffy arrives at an island, he wants to taste the local food. Sanji said, it's time to prepare some ingredients. Sauron said, buy more wine, I've had enough rum. Usopp said, I need to get some more tools. Roger said, I want to get some more plants. Chopper said, I need to get some medicines, medical supplies, and medical books. Nami said to everyone, spend money and save some money. Although Nami's tone was flat, everyone understood how powerful Nami was. Okay, we will pay attention, everyone said. The King of Ninja and the Goddess of Spring Water will part here. After arriving at this transit port on Gaia Island, everyone went their separate ways. The King of Ninja said, we are finally here. We are about to say goodbye. The Goddess of Spring Water said, it's really a pleasure to be with you these days. Hearing this, Rog and the others felt a little regretful. Sanji looked the most frustrated and said, Goddess, don't leave us. There is a time when people are destined to be different, just like Wei is different from everyone. The Ninja King then said, but don't worry, we will stay here for a few more days. And you may have a chance to meet in the future. Usopp said, okay, we are going to Wano Country and Magic Island. The Ninja King said, I will wait for everyone. The Goddess of Springs said, I am the same. Although I went to Gaia Island after a lot of hard work, I have to face sad things. Even partners have to be separated. Forget it, why are you thinking so much? Let's have fun together, Luffy said happily. Yes, let's have fun exploring the city, Usopp said. Everyone began to walk on the streets of Magic Valley City. Check out this bustling port city. At the port of Magic Valley City, in front of the berth where the Discovery was parked, the security officer in charge was talking on a bug phone. It's like this. We found a warship here at the port. There are not many people on board, but it has gold, the chief of the security force reported. It would be great to have gold. You can still send people to investigate as usual. If more gold can be found to further investigate their identities, maybe we can make a lot of money, an old voice on the other side said. The chief of the guard said, yes, Mayor Grandet. He then hung up on the bug. The chief of the security force waved his hand, and several heavily armed security forces began to sneak into the Discovery. He looked at the Discovery, and there seemed to be a huge fortune in this weird warship. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 440. Buy 100 steaks, Luffy said excitedly. Captain Usopp wants to buy a bunch of tools, Usopp said confidently. Buy 100 marshmallows, and 100 bags of chocolates, by the way. There are also medical books, medical equipment, and medicines I need, Chopper said, full of expectation. The three of them were the most excited, while Zoro took a nap on the sofa at this time. Robin carefully observed the surroundings, she did not miss any details. She seems to have discovered some hidden problems on this island. As for the Spring Goddess and the Ninja King, they accompanied everyone. After 2 hours of calculation, the staff finally calculated the value of the gold. It's finally done. These golds are of high purity, a full 53,000 grams. Each gram of gold is worth 1,000 Baileys. So I can exchange them for 5,300 million Baileys, the staff said with a smile. 5,300 million Baileys. Usopp, Luffy, and Chopper all heard it, and danced happily together. The staff member was also smiling at first, but when he saw Nami's gloomy face, he said again, this value is very accurate. If you don't believe me, read this newspaper about the price of gold in the world. The staff presented an economical newspaper in front of Nami. Nami glanced at it, only to see that it marked 1,000 Baileys per gram of gold. Nami laughed darkly at this time and said, your information is really accurate, but the time is wrong. Hearing this, the staff member's face became ugly. Nami touched the newspaper and said, "This is indeed not a forgery. It is also true that gold was once worth 1,000 belly per gram. But this newspaper has been around for a few years. The newspaper presented by the staff is indeed a bit old. Although it is well preserved, it can still be seen that it is relatively old, and the date on it has also been cut off." Nami quickly took out another newspaper and placed it on the counter. "Look, each gram of gold is now worth 2,000 belly." Nami pointed her finger at the data above. The staff member was speechless when he was questioned. The bank just wanted to convert it at a low price and then resell it to make amazing profits. "Okay, okay. 2,000 belly per gram, I'll give you a total of 1 million belly," the staff had to say. After a while, a box with a total of 1 million peleis was exchanged. Nami picked up the box herself, and walked out of the Grandet Bank with the others under the guard of Sanji and Roger. "Long live 1 million baileys!" Usopp, Luffy and Chopper cheered. Sanji said beside Nami, as expected of Ms. Nami, "She has a clever plan. That guy had to exchange for a reasonable price for us." Nami's expression was calm. Nami can steal from her opponents for money, and she won't be cheated out of her money. Nami looked at the Ninja King and the Fountain Goddess again and thought for a while. "Let's go to a restaurant to celebrate first," Nami said. "Okay." This time everyone cheered. We all found a very luxurious restaurant together and booked a large private room here to hold the banquet. This is a huge round table that can accommodate more than 10 people sitting together. Everyone sat here and began chatting happily. "I kept you waiting for a long time." 4 waiters walked in and pushed a huge dining cart. The dining car is filled with all kinds of delicacies. "Thank you. But we have to have a serious meal later, so please don't disturb us," Nami said. The waiters then withdrew again. "Started," everyone said excitedly. Delicious roast turkey, roast lobster, roast steak, pizza, pasta, cake, fruit, salad, toast, meatballs, sausage are placed on the table. There are also wines, liquors, sakes, juices, and specialty drinks. Everyone is very happy to eat and drink. Nami was the first to raise the goblet full of wine and said, "Today, I will give this cup to the Ninja King and the Goddess of Spring Water. Thank you for your help these days." The banquet table immediately fell silent. Everyone looked at the Ninja King and the Spring Goddess. The Ninja King and the Spring Goddess looked at everyone with complicated expressions. Nami continued, "This banquet is actually a farewell banquet for the two of you. So the two of you are the real protagonists of this banquet. Everyone else is going to toast you." After Nami finished speaking, others also said, "Yes, yes." Everyone started to toast with the two of them. "I really like you guys. I really don't want to be separated," Usopp toasted. "It's great to go on an adventure together," Luffy said regretfully. "It's great to be together. But I wish you all the best of luck," Chopper said. "Everyone has their own path. We can become partners during this time, which is a good memory of a lifetime," Rog said with a toast. "Good luck to you all," said Robin briefly. Sanji stood next to the Goddess of Spring Water in great pain, toasting with a face of reluctance. "Goddess, why did you leave us?" Sanji said. The Spring Goddess smiled softly and said, "We will meet again when you arrive at the Magic Island. I will always regard you as partners." Sanji burst into tears. Zoro and the Ninja King toast each other. "It's not easy to have white wine and sake, so you must have a good drink," Zoro said with a toast. "To be a warrior is to persevere. No matter what you have, you must overcome it. I hope you can overcome difficulties and reach Wano country," said the Ninja King. Zoro and the King of Ninjas drank the wine in one gulp. Two people, one is a swordsman and the other is a ninja. The two are actually the most bonded people during this time. This banquet was the last farewell banquet, and the others talked and laughed with the two of them. A banquet with a different atmosphere is also a confession full of joys and sorrows. At the end of the banquet, everyone ate and drank happily. The empty plates and wine glasses on the round table seemed to announce what a heartfelt party it was. Nami brought the suitcase full of money to the dining table. She came before the Ninja King and the Spring Goddess. The King of Ninjas, the Goddess of Spring Water. Each of you needs some travel expenses, Nami said. She held 3 dozen bills in each hand. The two of you each get 300 million Baileys. After all, the road on the Great Route is dangerous and requires some travel expenses, Nami said. The Ninja King and the Spring Goddess looked straight into Nami's eyes, which were full of friendliness and sincerity. Don't refuse. This is what friends should do. You have helped us a lot, Nami continued. Now everyone is looking at the two people. Even if the two of them are not greedy for money, this intention must be followed. Thank you, Nami, thank you everyone, the King of Ninjas said with rare emotion. Thank you, Nami, and everyone for your concern, the Spring Water Goddess said softly. The two took the money from Nami's hands. Rog and Sanji glanced at each other, thinking that Nami is really good. In real moments, Nami doesn't skimp on those material possessions. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 441. This farewell party is finally over. Everyone walked out of the restaurant happily. After walking out of this restaurant, everyone also needs to shop. Okay, here's the money for each of you. Use it carefully, Nami said, giving Rog and Usopp 12 bills each. Usopp counted the money and said, "It's only $100,000. Can Nami give me more? We still have million belly." Luffy also said, "Aren't these enough flowers?" Nami's face quickly turned fierce and she said, "Do you have any objections?" After seeing Nami's face, Usopp and Luffy quickly confessed. "No. Don't dare." Usopp and Luffy said. Rog also ordered the Baileys in his hand, although these are not many. But it is enough. Okay, let's do our own thing, Saran said. Okay. Everyone is very happy. Everyone has a lot to buy. Magic Valley City is also a large port city. Everyone finds what they need. Roger first went to a plant shop. After entering the plant shop, the boss said politely, "This guest, what do you want?" Roger glanced at the plants in the plant shop. "I want to see these," Rog said. Okay, the boss hurriedly placed the plants in front of Rog and explained. Rog carefully selected some plants according to his own needs. Especially a large number of saplings are essential. Also, I need some seeds, Roger said again. Okay, please look at these. The boss took out some more seeds. For Rog, plants mean fighting power. So you need a lot of plants that are suitable for you. After such a careful selection, Roger paid a large sum of money and walked out of the plant shop with a large package of plants and seeds. In a store with fresh meat, Sanji made a big purchase. A pair of discerning eyes locks in all high-quality ingredients. Turkeys, good. 10 of them. 40 pounds of beef. Sausage, 200. Eggs are still fresh, here are 1,000. Sanji took the trouble to choose various ingredients. Sanji's mission is to make other friends eat delicious food. For this reason, Sanji strives for excellence in cooking and ingredients. Being the chef of the Straw Hat Pirates requires not only strong cooking skills, but also fighting. This is really hard work for Sanji. Thank you for your patronage. Sanji opened the door and pulled a cart of meat to buy. As for fruits and vegetables, thanks to Rog, you don't have to work so hard to buy them. Seafood can be obtained at any time during the voyage. After all, this is a large port city, and there are really many beauties. Sanji's eyes took in all the beauties he saw on the street. In this bustling city, Sanji's greatest enjoyment is to see those seductive beauties. Girls with slim figures, light steps, beautiful faces, and cheerful voices walked around. Sanji, who watched, was fascinated. There are also many beauties in revealing clothes, which makes Sanji want to have nosebleeds gushing out like a fountain. Usopp, Chopper and Luffy enjoyed the splurge. The three stood together in front of a confectionery shop. "Wow, candy shop," Luffy said excitedly. "I really want to eat a lot," Usopp also said. "I really like sweet things." "Chocolate, cotton candy, fruit candy," Chopper said. The three rushed into the confectionery shop amidst cheers. This candy and pastry shop is filled with a wide variety of candies and pastries. Luffy saw the cakes and said, "Chocolate cake, strawberry cake, condensed milk cake, butter cake, cheesecake, cream cake, yogurt cake, almond cake, cake roll. Wow, it's so delicious." After seeing the candies, Chopper said intoxicatedly, "Chocolate, marshmallows, apple candies, watermelon candies, banana candies, coconut sugar, honey candies, yogurt candies, pralines, wine candies, so many sweet candies." Usopp was also drooling when he saw it, but he still put on a posture and said, "Well, Captain Usopp has taught his apprentices how to make candies and cakes, and now candies and cakes have become so popular." "Wow, you are amazing," Chopper said with appreciation. A boss wearing a pastry chef hat said politely to the three of them, "Everyone, what do you want to eat?" "I want this, this, this," Luffy said. 100 pieces of this candy, and 100 pieces of this one." Chopper desperately bought candies. Usopp also looked at it carefully, and said, "Let me have some too." The co-pilot of the three made the boss turn from surprise to fear. He had never met anyone so obsessed with candy cakes. "Everyone, don't worry, I will pack sweets and cakes for everyone," the boss said quickly. If he didn't hurry up, the store would be demolished by the three of them. Zoro and the Ninja King visit the weapons store together. Both of them are not interested in firearms, so they are looking for a weapon shop that sells cold weapons such as swords. The dazzling array of swords here are all beautifully decorated. But Zoro pulled the samurai swords out of their sheaths. "It's really disappointing, the decoration is exquisite but the texture is so ordinary," Sauron said with some disappointment. Of course, Sauron now possesses three powerful and excellent samurai swords, Yokizu, Kitoru, and Deo Yizuan, all of which are treasured swords. Sauron also does not need a new katana for the time being. Now Sauron wields three samurai swords in battle, enough to sweep thousands of troops and defeat countless masters. Of course, as a swordsman who loves weapons, Zoro still likes to see powerful swords. The King of Ninja is also observing various swords. In addition to observing swords, he also likes all kinds of hidden weapons. Zoro and the Ninja King are the most quarrelsome couple among the group. Both of them pursue the realm of warriors. It's just that the style is different. "Oh, you really like hidden weapons," Sauron said. "Ninja sneak in the dark, of course they need to use some special weapons," said the Ninja King. In the end, the King of Ninja bought some hidden weapons either for collection or use. Nami, along with Robin and the Goddess of Springs, the three of them shop for clothes at a clothing store. The weather on the Grand Line is changeable. In this clothing store, Nami and Robin help the Spring Goddess buy clothes that can be used in spring, summer, autumn and winter. The Goddess of Spring Water, she is really magnificent. "She is so beautiful in whatever she wears," Nami praised. The Spring Water Goddess has long, silky golden hair and a dignified face. Whether it is ordinary clothes or gorgeous clothes, they can complement her beauty. "Thank you," the Goddess of Spring Water said softly. The Goddess of Spring Water is elegant and majestic, not only makes men fascinated by her, but even women have a great affection for her. Nami and the others left the clothing store after shopping. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 442. Whether it's Rogue, Sanji, Usopp, Chopper, Luffy, Zoro, the king of ninjas, Nami, Robin, and the goddess of spring water. Everyone followed the original plan and went back to the Discovery together. While a group of people were eating and shopping in the city, they were at the port where the Discovery was moored. Chief Razel and the guards quickly set up their defenses. Chief Razel, the security forces have come to support, a guard reported. Razel looked across the street, and saw a group of security forces in gray uniforms rushing over. These vigilante troops carry rifles and wear helmets. There are also pistols and daggers at the waist, as well as bullets and grenades. There is also a backpack for storing combat weapons and supplies on the back. Their helmets and uniforms all have a G logo. This is the army loyal to Grandet, the mayor of Magic Valley. It's finally here, the security force Rezel said happily. The port guard force commanded by Rezer is equivalent to the customs force, which can only play the role of review and warning. But it is also very difficult to deal with a strong opponent. However, there is also an incomparably powerful regular army armed in this Magic Valley City, which is the Magic Valley City Security Force, an elite force formed by Mayor Grandet himself. The security forces of Magic Valley City are well equipped and well trained, and they are extremely loyal to Mayor Grandet. It is also a pillar of Mayor Grandet's ability to inform the city. There is another pillar, the big shot who cooperates with Mayor Grandet. The security forces have groups of cavalry, infantry, and carriage units. These security forces arrived in front of the port. An officer on horseback arrived in front of Razel. He dismounted and exchanged salutes with Razel. Meng Clo, the chief of the Third Corps of the security force, led the troops to support, the officer said very seriously. Port Guard Commander Rezel is waiting here, thank you for coming to support in time, Rezel said very respectfully. Although Razel, who is in charge of the Port Guard force, also holds great power, but the other party is a direct descendant of Grandet's direct line. The head of the Monclo army began to observe the area, and his eyes fell on the explorer. Razel quickly introduced, this is the ship of those pirates. There is a huge amount of gold in it. The head of Monclo's army looked at the warship and said, how could the pirates own the warship? There is so much gold. It must have been robbed. Let's ambush the troops together and catch all the pirates. Not only can they be confiscated this warship and the contents inside. You can also give those pirates to the navy to receive a reward. Chief Razel nodded quickly and said, yes. Doing this will serve multiple purposes. In this world, especially on the sea, the real king is the navy, and the greatest power is the world government. As long as it does not violate the navy and the world government, many things are easy to handle. As for the arrest of the wanted criminal, the navy and the world government couldn't be happier. For pirates and other wanted criminals with amazing strength, money alone can make countless risky dead men go to assassinate, so it is great for the world government that has mastered the world tax. Money is the best motivation that can push people to take action. Now Commander Monclo and Chief Razel have gone through so much trouble just to find the gold inside the Discovery. By the way, Rog and Usopp can also earn a lot of bounty if they capture Rog and Usopp. Okay, hurry up and deploy. Commander Monclo ordered a group of officers under his opponent. Yes, the officers saluted and hurriedly carried out the order. The Third Army, led by Commander Monclo, had soldiers. These troops are well trained and will soon begin deploying. The carriage troops quickly arranged the artillery they carried and installed them in some locations suitable for bombardment with sandbags. The infantry units quickly settled in the streets, roofs and houses near the port. Countless machine guns and rifles are loaded and ready to fire. Cavalry units are mainly responsible for mobility. These cavalry units have been specially trained in street fighting and can cooperate with other units to suppress opponents in street fighting. Razel looked at the well-trained soldiers of the Third Army, and then at the calm commander of the Monclo army. I really sigh in my heart for the elite of the security forces. Razel had also seen groups of pirates attacking here before, but the security forces defeated several times the pirates as soon as they came out. Mayor Grandet has such an elite army that he can rule Gaia Island Magic Valley City, a very important transit port city on the Great Route, for a long time. Razel thought of something again, and asked the commander of the Monclos army, "Commander of the Monclos army, forgive me. Although we have such an elite army, it is hard to guarantee that the other party will have some way to secretly reach the warship. How to stop them at that time?" The head of the Monclo army looked at him, and then pointed to the sea. "Indeed, this is a problem. But I can call the warship urgently in that situation," said the head of the Monclo army. Razel looked at the sea and said, "This is the same. The vigilante has more than just land troops. And the fleet of warships. The warship force of the security army can even compete with a large navy. Many of those warships are hundreds of meters long and can compete with the Discovery." Thinking of this, Razel said, "Wait a minute and see how those young pirates knelt down and begged for mercy. They are determined to get the gold on Discovery." After a period of preparation, the security forces ambushed near the port. Although such a huge force was used, the security forces did not dare to take it lightly because the information on the arrest warrant showed that the opponent was a powerful pirate with a reward of hundreds of millions of baileys. 2,000 elite security forces are deployed here with the assistance of 500 guards. Cannons, bazookas, machine guns, and even some more advanced weapons are deployed. A bloody battle is about to begin. After some shopping in the city, Rog and Usopp finally arrived on the main road to the port together. On this street, everyone is gathering. "Everyone bought a lot of things," Luffy said while eating the cake. "There are so many things. I wonder if everyone has spent all their money," Chopper said while eating chocolate. "It looks like everyone is enjoying their shopping," Usopp said while eating a cookie. "You just know how to enjoy it. I've worked so hard to buy so much meat," Sanji complained while holding a cart full of meat. "It's really your duty to be a cook," Zoro complained. Sanji immediately said, "It's a top-notch chef. I do this so that everyone can eat delicious meat. After all, just eating seafood is too boring. You all come to help, otherwise there will be no food." "Madam, forget it. Oh. Miss Nami, Sister Robin, Goddess. You are so beautiful after putting on your new clothes." "Thank you, Sanji," Nami said. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 443. After hearing Nami's praise, Sanji's face showed love. Robin was dressed in black slim-fitting pants, and she looked around from time to time with her eyes. A group of people continued to walk on this street. But it has gradually entered the ambush range of the security forces. On the top of a building, the security officer in charge of setting up the machine gun saw a group of people. They quickly connected with phone bugs. "The pirates have entered our ambush area," the officer said through the phone bug communication. "Okay, prepare to attack." The voice of the commander of the Monclor army came from the opposite side. The security forces deployed in buildings and streets are always ready. Rog and Usopp and their group have already entered the siege. The public security army is very good at street fighting, well equipped and highly coordinated. Roger and Usopp are about to face a bloodbath. When Rog and Usopp arrived in this block, they felt a little weird around them. "What happened? I feel like someone is targeting us," Rog said. "Is someone targeting us?" Usopp said nervously. Chopper was also horrified and said, "It's terrible." The little guy quickly hid behind Sauron's legs and looked around. Zoro looked around and said, "There seems to be something in the dark. Where is the king of ninjas?" At this time, on the top of a building, a machine gun was aimed at everyone. There were also 5 infantrymen armed with rifles taking aim. An officer commanded by the side. They are ready to attack. However, they didn't know that a dark figure came over behind them. Metal flew out for a while, and 2 exploding shurikens hit the officer and the soldiers. Boom boom boom. Accompanied by the sound of the explosion, these officers and soldiers were blown into the western sky. At this time, Rogue and Usopp, who heard the explosion on the street, felt that they were in danger. What happened? Usopp quickly took out a longbow and aimed left and right. This longbow was assembled with excellent wood and bowstrings after Rogue used the plant fruit ability to transform the plants before going to Gaia Island. Because Rogue once said that Usopp always had a limited range with his slingshot, he helped make this longbow. With Rogue's modified plants as materials, Usopp also has a strong processing ability. This longbow was manufactured. There are enemies coming out quickly, let you try Captain Usopp's sharpshooter bow. Usopp observed the surroundings and said. Usopp put a bow and arrow with a large flame star on the longbow. Zoro quickly touched the handle of the samurai sword at his waist. Sanji quickly stopped pulling the car full of meat, and quickly stood in front of Nami. Roger looked around and felt that the situation was not good. Rogue quickly took out 3 walnut trees, injected them with the power of the plant fruits, and turned them into heavy walnut armor. In walnut heavy armor, Roger is ready for battle. On the roof of the building just now, the King of Ninja used an explosive shuriken to kill the officers and soldiers of the security forces who were attempting to attack. The opponent originally wanted to strike first, but unexpectedly, the King of Ninjas struck first. These 2 explosions also called the police to Rogue and Usopp on the street. Rogue and Usopp on the street understood that the situation was not good, and hurriedly wanted to hide. Suddenly the cannon sounded and the shells were fired. Boom 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 boom. A group of artillery shells came over. The group of shells tore through the air and fired at the crowd. Sauron jumped over. He bit the word Hideo in his mouth, and held Goichi and Shuezo tightly with both hands. Crow. Demon Hunt. Zoro swung 3 samurai swords and quickly killed several times. Cut several shells open. The chopped cannonball split into 2 and flew towards the side building. There was a rumbling explosion for a while, and the fragments of these shells exploded. Sure enough, someone came to attack, Sauron said. Rogue held the Kinkan bamboo spear tightly in his hand, ready to fight at all times. Usopp quickly took out a palm-sized projectile. Nothing can be done, Smoke Star. Usopp threw the Smoke Star projectile directly to the ground under his feet. Soon a cloud of smoke will cover the surrounding area. After the smoke covered everyone, they were able to hide quickly. Next, the machine gun bullets of the security forces also covered the area where everyone was just now. There are still many shells flying over. After the intensive fire bombardment of shells and bullets, the cloud of smoke dissipated afterwards. More than a dozen infantrymen approached here, but they found no one. It's just that the various supplies purchased by everyone before were blown up and scattered all over the ground here. What happened? They ran away. The security force soldier said. Rogue, Zoro, Usopp, Luffy, Sanji, Chopper, Nami, Robin, and the Spring Goddess all quickly dispersed. Get ready to fight the enemies. Although I don't know why this group of enemies attacked, but since the battle is coming, we must welcome it. On top of a building, a cannon was erected here. In addition to the 3 gunners, there were more than a dozen infantry guards. Pay attention to vigilance, the enemy has dispersed. The infantrymen looked around cautiously, and no one dared to relax. At this moment, a figure was pulled up. It was Rogue who used the rattan whip to pull himself to the top of the building. There is an enemy, fire. A dozen rifles fired bullets. Bang 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 bang. The bullet hit Roger's walnut armor. However, a series of sparks were fired, which could not damage the walnut armor. Try this. An infantryman blew the fuse of a grenade and threw it at Rogue. Boom. There was an explosion, and Roger was hit by a grenade. But the walnut armor is still intact. Others threw grenades one after another. One grenade was thrown at Rog, but none of them could damage Rog's walnut armor. "It's my turn." Rog brandished the Kinkan bamboo spear and began to assassinate. Rog rushed in front of an infantryman holding a rifle, and aimed the Kinkan bamboo spear at the opponent's heart to kill him. Puff! The Kinkan bamboo spear in Rog's hand pierced the infantryman's heart. The infantryman was killed instantly. Then Rog brandished the Kinkan bamboo spear to assassinate another infantryman. The opponent's throat was pierced this time, and he fell to the ground and died. After using the Kinkan bamboo spear to assassinate 5 infantrymen one after another, there were still 8 infantrymen left. One of the officers quickly pulled out the saber from his waist. "Others, hurry up and put on your bayonets." The officer hurriedly ordered. The remaining infantrymen pulled out the daggers carried on their waists. These military daggers could be used as handheld daggers for assassination or installed on the front of the rifle to serve as bayonets. These infantrymen with bayonets raised their rifles and stabbed Rog. But Rog's assassination was more swift, and he directly picked off an infantryman who was charging at the front and threw him under the house. An infantryman stabbed Roger in the neck with a bayonet. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 444. These infantrymen are well trained, professional in assassination, and powerful. The reason why he assassinated Rog's neck was that the armor on Rog's neck was relatively weak. In fact, the walnut armor on Rog's neck is relatively weak, but that is only compared to the walnut armor on other parts, but it is still as hard as steel. The opponent didn't pierce, but Rog pierced the opponent's abdomen with the Kinkan bamboo spear instead and threw him away. 2 more infantry swung their rifles and stabbed Roger in the back with bayonets. Chiang chiang. There was a piercing sound after the bayonet hit the walnut armor. Rog turned around, first stabbed an infantryman in the throat with the Kinkan bamboo spear, and then concentrated on attacking another infantryman. The infantryman retreated quickly, and Rog stabbed him violently. Finally the infantryman reached the top edge of the house. What? The infantryman stumbled and fell below. There were 4 infantrymen and an infantry officer left, and the 3 gunners were also terrified. "Don't be afraid, come together," the officer ordered. 4 infantry charged with their rifles, and the bayonet stabbed Rog's walnut armor at the same time. Rog's walnut armor was stabbed, and Rog rolled over, knocking the 4 of them apart. Then he injected plant fruit power into the Kinkan bamboo spear, and a huge machete grew from the top leaf. "Let you taste the power of the bamboo sickle." Rog swung his bamboo sickle at the necks of the infantrymen and killed them. Puff! One infantryman's head was instantly chopped off. The remaining infantrymen were frightened and quickly retreated. Rog wielded a bamboo sickle to kill these infantrymen. The 3 infantrymen had nowhere to escape and jumped from the top of the building one after another. What? There were screams for a while, and the 3 infantrymen were either killed or injured. Rog brandished his bamboo sickle and turned to attack the officer and the 3 gunners. The 3 gunners also raised their rifles and prepared to fight. They hid behind the officers. The officer held his saber tightly with both hands. "Let me ask you, who are you and are you the troops of the city?" Rog asked. After listening to Rog's words, the face of the officer who was originally full of fear became a little more ferocious. "Yes, we are the Law and Order Army of Magic Valley City. This time you are besieged by the 3rd Army of the commander of the Monclose Army, expert in street fighting. There are a total of 2,000 elite soldiers. You pirates, don't kill a few of us. Proud. Because you are not an opponent at all. We will wipe out all of you. If you surrender now, you may be able to temporarily survive and send to the Navy," the officer said with fear and pride, and said with a smirk. The officer knew very well that although he couldn't beat Rog, after all, there were elite soldiers from the Third Army besieging him this time. So he could still pretend to be a tiger and threaten Rog to surrender. Rog also understood some information, and understood that the other party already knew that he was a pirate. Those wanted posters must have been flying all over the world. But it's not like this just for hundreds of millions of bounties. The gold must have been found in the Discovery rover. Unfortunately, I don't intend to surrender, Rog said, looking straight into the opponent's eyes. Then before the officer could continue to react, the bamboo sickle in Rog's hand had already slashed across the opponent's chest. Puff! The opponent's chest was slashed with blood, and he fell to the ground and died on the spot after receiving fatal injuries. 3 gunners remained. The 3 gunners were trembling with fear. They also saw clearly Rog's powerful combat power just now. Don't kill us or you will die a worse death. We are the security forces of Magic Valley City. No matter how arrogant you are, you will never be able to defeat us and Mayor Grandet. The 3 gunners also attempted to threaten Roger. Without blinking an eye, Rog swung the bamboo sickle in his hand to kill them all. After killing the gunners and infantry, Rog walked to the side of the artillery. Now the artillery has been loaded with shells. Okay, let me make a little joke for you. Rog adjusted the muzzle to the top of another building, where there was also a cannon and more than a dozen infantry guards. Aiming at the top of the building, Logo pulled the cannon's pull rope. Boom! A shell was fired and hit the top of the building. The artillery shell just hit the artillery, and the 3 gunners were bloody on the spot. A box of shells on the side was also detonated, and the violent explosion tore apart the bodies of the remaining 10 infantrymen on the top of the building. When Rog fought, the others also fought bravely. In one street, more than a dozen infantrymen were ready to charge. Sauron was above them now, with his legs braced against the walls on either side. Swezu and Guiche with both hands slashed out 2 sword chi. 2 swords. Eagle wave. 2 eagle-like sword chi slashed downward. More than a dozen infantrymen below were beheaded from above. Some were hit in the back by the sword energy, and some were hit in the neck by the sword energy and fell directly to the ground dead. Sauron jumped down and glanced at the corpses all over the ground. It's really effortless, Sauron said. As long as you don't directly expose yourself to powerful firepower, you can kill enemies in groups like this. At this moment, a shell suddenly flew over. Sauron quickly jumped away. I saw 3 infantrymen with shoulder-mounted artillery attacking. The 3 cooperated with each other, and the shells were fired one after another. However, these artillery shells were not fired as intensively as machine guns or even rifles. Sauron rushed across the ground quickly. Sauron approached the 3 of them, Yukizaro and Onitsu, with both arms beheaded for a while. 3 heads fell to the ground. After killing the enemies in this alley, Sauron quickly rushed to another alley. Here there is an enemy wearing armor all over his body. The other party was wearing steel armor, which was tightly protected except for the eye sockets and joints. He also held a gun in his hand with a muzzle as big as a fire hydrant. There is an iron cylinder on his back. What is this? Zoro said. The enemy pointed the gun in his hand at Sauron. The opponent's gun quickly sprayed flames. What? Zoro was extremely shocked and hurriedly avoided. Zoro jumped aside and moved quickly. The opponent actually used a flamethrower. Fortunately, the opponent used a fire-breathing weapon, but the flames shot out were not very fast. Sauron was able to escape. In addition to wielding a flamethrower, this enemy soldier wears steel armor. The protection is not imprecise. Zoro retracted Yukinashi and Onitsu with both arms back into the scabbard. Hold the word Hideo in your mouth tightly with both hands. He used his own speed to quickly get behind the enemy. Although this enemy is wearing steel armor and carrying a heavy flamethrower, but the negative effect is that the mobility and flexibility are poor. Itaryu. Iai. Lion Song. Sauron slashed at the enemy's back like lightning. Zoro's steel cutting slash severed the steel armor on the opponent's back, and penetrated through the opponent's back. After a burst of screams and blood spurting, the enemy fell to the ground. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 445. After the enemy with the flamethrower fell, Sauron turned to look at the enemy. Even though he was wearing steel armor, he was still killed by Sauron's powerful attack of cutting steel. There are always strange enemies like this, Sauron said. After the enemy carrying the flamethrower fell, there was another burst of running. A large group of enemies rushed over one after another. There are more than 20. These infantrymen fired heavily at Sauron with their rifles in their hands. Bang 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 bang. Sauron quickly dodged. Suppress with intensive firepower and don't give the enemy time to breathe, said the infantry officer. These infantrymen had shoulder-mounted artillery in addition to their rifles. Boom boom boom. The cannonball was fired in Zoro's direction. Sauron quickly hid in a nearby building. And Sauron quickly climbed up the stairs above. The infantry then quickly followed in, and they began to search the building. The enemies quickly followed from the stairs. Sauron kept rushing up, and finally reached the top of the building. There is no place to escape here. The infantry quickly caught up. Capture the pirates with ease, said an infantry officer holding a pistol. Sauron looked at them with disdain, and said, "You have been tricked." Zoro jumped quickly from the side of the building. Zoro, who had landed on the ground below the building, looked at the building. More than enemies rushed into this building. Sauron grasped the Hedeo word, aimed at the bottom of the building and killed it with one blow. Chong! This knife cut off the bottom of the building. The building collapsed rapidly. Boom! More than 20 infantrymen in this building were buried in the rubble. Zoro looked at the rubble of the collapsed building, and he must use wisdom in battle. Brute force is never going to work. Oh, there is a lone pirate here. At this moment, two enemies with flamethrowers suddenly spotted Sauron. Sauron looked at the two men, who were also holding flamethrowers and wearing steel armor. They aimed their flamethrowers at Sauron and began to attack. Burn him to death. Two strings of flames shot out and flew towards Sauron. Sauron quickly dodged. These two enemies are constantly attacking. Because the opponent was holding a flame gun, Sauron did not dare to hide and enter the house. Those who look like that are even more unable to escape. Two enemies armed with flame guns continuously shoot menacing flames. The two of them covered each other, leaving Zoro temporarily unable to attack. In this case, Zoro looked for an opportunity to target the opponent's back. But at this time, Sauron discovered that the flame gun held by the enemy was connected to the cylinder on the back. Could it be that the fuel was transported from the pipe to the flame gun? Zoro said. Sauron had also learned about some flame weapons before. These flame weapons often require some chemical fuel to burn. Only after the burning of those chemical fuels can the flame weapons exert their power. It seems that the pipes must be cut. Zoro found the opportunity and prepared to attack the pipes. The two enemies carrying flamethrowers continued to move, and they rushed towards the box where Sauron was hiding. Flames sprayed towards the box. At this moment, Sauron beheaded with 3 swords. 3 sword style. Tornado. With himself as the center, Sauron slayed a swirling tornado-like blade storm. The sword energy cut away the flames. And cut off the pipe connecting the two enemy flame guns to the Baku and Tong. Swarms of chemical fuel flowed out of the pipe. But after the pipe was cut open and the chemical fuel leaked out, the flames that were blown away by the sword energy also turned into sparks and flew to them. Even just a spark can completely detonate the chemical fuel in the cylinder on their backs. Boom rumble rumble. There were 2 explosions, and 2 cylinders filled with chemical fuel on the enemy's back exploded. The 2 enemies were quickly enveloped in flames and covered in flames. Sauron saw 2 swaying figures in the flames, howling and struggling before falling down. After the two figures fell, Zoro continued to fight through the streets. In the city, Sanji moves with Nami and Robin. "Ladies, don't worry. The gentleman will protect you," Sanji said. Nami was scared now and said, "It's all up to you." Sanji said with a loving face, "Okay, don't worry, Miss Nami." At this time, two groups of infantry surrounded them. There are more than 10 people in each team, and there are more than 30 people in total. "Leave the front to me. Sister Robin, can you handle the back?" Sanji said. "I think it's okay," Robin said calmly. Sanji rushed forward quickly. The enemies in front quickly stopped and raised their rifles to shoot at Sanji. Bang 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 bang. Concentrated bullets shot towards Sanji. But Sanji dodged left and right. Sanji quickly approached the infantry. Sanji the first meat quickly kicked down an infantryman. Then he jumped into the enemy pile again. Banquet table and kicking package. Sanji put his arms on the ground and kicked his feet in a spinning motion. Dong 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 dong. One by one the infantrymen were kicked down. More than a dozen infantry were quickly eliminated by Sanji with his legs. Rog dealt with a group of infantry behind. The infantry charged forward. 4 rounds of flowers bloom. Robin crossed his arms and activated the flowering fruit ability. 4 arms grew out of each of the dozen or so infantrymen's shoulders. 2 of the 4 arms first grabbed the infantrymen's arms. In this way, the infantrymen's arms were held up and they couldn't use their rifles to shoot at all. The other 2 arms grabbed the necks of the infantrymen and snapped them off. There was a sound of bones breaking, and the infantry fell to the ground with their necks broken. After the infantry fell to the ground, Nami looked at them in surprise. "It was all killed at once," Nami said in surprise. Facing so many enemies, Robin actually solved them so easily. After destroying these enemies, Robin reunited with Nami and Sanji. After rendezvous, the 3 continued to fight. Just as the 3 continued to advance, they found a machine gun shooting from the top of the building. The machine gun has a long range and has a strong suppressive force in street fighting. The 3 were forced to hide behind a house. In front of the house, machine guns were firing heavily from the top of 3 buildings. In addition to those machine guns, some infantrymen placed sandbags on the street ahead as a cover to attack continuously. "Damn it," Sanji said. Although Sanji is proficient in fighting, the enemy is now making full use of the role of firearms in street fighting, making Sanji unable to charge. Although Sanji has amazing reflexes and is able to dodge some bullets, but that has a limit. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 446. Under such a hail of bullets, Sanji didn't dare to charge at all. "Leave it to me," Robin said. Robin crossed his arms again and used the flowering fruit ability. A pair of arms suddenly grew out of the side of the machine gun on the top of the 3 buildings. Near a machine gun, the machine gunner was surprised to see an arm growing out of the machine gun. "How can that be?" the machine gunner said in surprise. But the arms caught the heavy's head, killing him by the throat. Then the arm that grew on top of the machine gun began to adjust the machine gun. The 3 machine guns on the top of the 3 buildings automatically aimed their guns at the infantry behind the sandbags on the streets. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Intensive machine gun bullets were fired, strafing the infantry. The infantrymen were shot and fell to the ground. Some infantrymen who survived were shocked to find themselves under fire from their own machine guns. "What happened? We were shot at by our own machine guns. Wait a minute, these machine guns don't have gunners. They attack on their own." The remaining infantry suffered heavy casualties. Soon he was shot and killed by his own machine guns. As expected of Sister Robin, Sanji praised. Sanji, Nami, and Robin quickly crossed the enemy's line of defense. Robin's abilities can be fully utilized in street fighting. After the three of them crossed the line of defense, they came to a restaurant again. This hotel is large, but it is surrounded and guarded by groups of enemies. This is the only way to continue to move towards the location where the Discovery is moored in the port. Now that everyone is scattered, there is no doubt that the only way out is to advance to the location where the Discovery was moored before. Sanji saw the restaurant and said, "Such a restaurant. It's a headache. But I think there's a way to deal with it." Suddenly, an artillery deployed next to the restaurant opened fire, and a shell fired at the three people. "Look out!" Sanji spotted the incoming shell. He kicked straight up with his right leg. The shell was kicked back. Boom! With a violent explosion, several enemies went to the west. Sanji suddenly had an idea in his head and said, "Be careful." Sanji hurriedly looked for the artillery of the surrounding enemies who had been wiped out. Just now a cannon and the enemy manipulating the cannon were wiped out by Sanji. These shells are all fuse-exploded shells, which require a violent collision to explode. Sanji picked up a cannonball and looked at the hotel. "Okay, let's have a taste of your own cannonballs." Sanji threw the cannonball into the air. Then Sanji kicked the cannonball away. The shell flew over the hotel. There was a loud boom and a big hole was blown out of the hotel. Sanji continued to use the same method, kicking more than 20 cannonballs towards the hotel. An earth-shattering explosion sounded. The hotel was bombed to pieces. After a fierce attack, more than 100 enemies inside and outside the hotel suffered heavy casualties. At this time, suddenly a group of infantry found Sanji and the others. "Here, fire!" The infantrymen raised their rifles and prepared to fire. But at this time, Robin activated the ability to bloom fruit, and the arms of these infantrymen were clamped and their necks were twisted. Although the 3rd Legion of the Security Force is very good at street fighting, Sanji and Robin are even more comfortable in street fighting. The more complex the environment, the greater the advantages Sanji and Robin have. "Good job, Sister Robin. I'll clean up those enemies right away." Sanji kicked another shell away. After a while of indiscriminate bombing, the enemies of this hotel were all wiped out. Sanji's foot skills are comparable to any powerful artillery. In front of Sanji's leg skills, even an elephant can be kicked away. These security forces never expected that. They thought their heavy firepower had the upper hand. But the artillery shells prepared will be used by Sanji and blow them up. The three continued to break out after crossing the destroyed hotel. Luffy can be said to be very happy in street fighting. Rubber. Pistol. Luffy jumped onto the roof of a building and knocked an enemy into the air with one punch. Luffy stands here, looking around. The surrounding city was still filled with gunfire and explosions. "Ah, our ship is there." Luffy saw the location of the port where the Discovery was. Luffy stretched out his rubber arm again, and grabbed the top of another building. Then it was brought over again. At the top of the building, there is a cannon and more than a dozen infantry guards. There is an enemy shooting. The infantry raised their rifles and fired. The bullets hit Luffy, but they hit Luffy like rubber stretched. Then Luffy bounced the bullets back with a smile on his face. These bullets flew towards the infantry. Although there were many deviations, 3 people were still hit and fell to the ground. "Oh my God, what is this? It actually bounced the bullets we fired." The infantry were terrified. Luffy was a monster in front of them. The infantry officer looked at Luffy and said, "It seems to be a devil fruit capable user, or a superhuman." After hearing this, Luffy said naturally, "I'm a rubber man." The infantry officer and other infantrymen were surprised that Luffy told the truth so casually. He immediately ordered the remaining infantry and said, "Everyone quickly put on their bayonets and prepare for hand-to-hand combat." The remaining infantrymen quickly pulled out the daggers at their waists and placed them on the front of their rifles as bayonets. Kill the infantry officer and lead the infantry charge. Luffy saw this group of infantry rushing towards them. Rubber. Machine gun. Luffy punched more than 10 times in a row. Fists hit the group of infantry, together with the infantry officer. The top of the building was soon filled with more than a dozen infantrymen. When the 3 remaining gunners operating the cannons saw Luffy, they were so frightened that they clenched their rifles. "Don't come here," the gunners said. Luffy pointed his arm at the top of another house. "I wouldn't attack you, but you blocked me. Luffy's body is taken over, which gunner will be knocked into the air?" The 3 gunners howled and fell to the ground below the building. Luffy went to the top of a new building again, but no enemies were deployed here. But on a nearby street below, Usopp and Chopper are being besieged by enemies. On the street, Chopper becomes fur-enhanced. Such a huge fluffy hairball is enough to withstand the shooting of bullets. Even cannonballs can bounce off. Usopp used Chopper as a cover and constantly used the marksman's longbow to attack. A machine gunner is constantly manipulating the machine gun to fire. Usopp hitched a bow and arrow to the marksman's longbow. Of course the arrows of this bow and arrow are projectiles. Must kill. Flame arrow. The bow and arrow were fired and hit the machine gunner. After the explosion, the machine gun stopped firing. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 448. Why are they thinking about our gold? Luffy said in surprise. Why do you think they would attack us so hard? Usopp said. How many troops did they use to attack us? Chopper said. Rog glanced at the lighthouse again and said, we have many enemies. And it was the security forces under Grand Ed, the mayor of Magic Valley City. In addition to our gold being known, they also discovered our bounty order. That's why we sent so many troops to fight. After hearing this, Usopp said in surprise, the reward order has been known. We are a pirate group with a reward of more than million Baileys. If this is the case, it is no wonder they will send so many troops to encircle and suppress. Thinking of this, Usopp felt chills down his spine. Although strictly speaking, only 4 of them were rewarded. However, the reward amount exceeded million Baileys. Comparable to many powerful pirate groups. Therefore, under this circumstance, it is not surprising that the security forces have so many troops to encircle and suppress. At this time, the King of Ninja and the Goddess of Spring also appeared. The 2 of them also killed and wounded the enemy wantonly along the way. Groups of enemies were annihilated, and the 2 men's powerful combat power made it impossible for even the elite security forces to resist. Look, it's the Goddess of Spring Water and the King of Ninjas, Chopper said suddenly. Roger, Usopp, and Luffy looked over. The King of Ninjas in black and the Goddess of Spring Water with long golden hair came here together. The Ninja King is holding a ninja knife, which is still covered with blood. Obviously after a fierce fight. The Goddess of Spring Water has a golden axe, a silver axe, and an iron axe, and all 3 axes are placed on her arms. Just now she used magic to continuously mass destroy the security forces. Along the way here, more than 200 security army infantry have been eliminated. Hikari, you are here? Asked the Ninja King. Where are Nami and the others? The Spring Water Goddess asked. Rog said, the situation is very bad now. But we still need to prioritize waiting for everyone to gather. The situation is critical now and everyone needs to be gathered before further action can be taken. At this time, Nami, Sanji, and Robin fought together and kept advancing. Especially Robin, who directly uses the Flowering Fruit ability to inflict major damage on the enemy. The Flowering Fruit ability can grow arms on both living and non-living things. Relying on this, Robin abruptly turned the weapons of countless security forces against himself. On a street, 3 people were suppressed by intensive firepower from the security forces. After discovering the 3 people, the security forces mobilized people to strengthen the encirclement and suppression. There were also some cavalry units among them. The charge cavalry unit consisted of more than 20 cavalrymen riding on strong horses, holding sabers and rifles, and quickly rushed towards the back of the house where the three people were hiding. Suddenly 2 arms grew from their backs. These arms twisted their heads backwards, and they all had their necks broken and died. After these cavalrymen fell off their horses, more than 20 strong horses were still running wildly. But without the threat, Sanji and the others don't have to worry about these horses. After killing these enemies, Robin also took a breath and wiped the sweat from his forehead. "Miss Robin, your ability is too powerful," Sanji said excitedly. Robin's face was also calm, and he couldn't tolerate any joy now. Although Robin uses his ability to destroy enemies on a large scale, it also requires a lot of physical exertion. Robin is quite tired now. Sanji is still full of energy. After all, he is also a powerful combat master. It would not be an exaggeration to say that Sanji is one of the best fighting cooks in the world. Although Nami didn't fight much, she still said in horror, "When will we arrive at the port?" Sanji said, "Miss Nami, don't worry. I will protect you with all my strength." Nami held a captured enemy rifle and said, "It's not that I can't fight. It's just that there are too many enemies." At this moment, 2 cavalrymen suddenly rushed over from another street entrance. Nami aimed at one of them, while Sanji rushed towards one of them. Boom! Nami aimed a rifle at the enemy and shot him, who was hit in the head and fell off his horse on the spot. Another cavalryman was also jumped up and kicked away by Sanji. After killing the 2 vigilante cavalry, Sanji looked at Nami happily. Nami also breathed a sigh of relief after killing an enemy cavalry. "The 18th Nami said. Although Nami doesn't kill many enemies, but also killed more than a dozen enemies. Sanji said excitedly, "Well done, Ms. Nami. This is the best couple fighting combination." Nami is also unwilling to say more at this time. "Fortunately, Usopp helped me guide my shooting skills," Nami said. "But the trouble is yet to come." This time, 6 soldiers wearing steel protective gear advanced here. They walked and breathed fire. "Damn, there is such an enemy," Sanji said. Robin also frowned and said, "There are too many flames for me to see clearly." At this time, 6 other soldiers carrying flamethrowers advanced from the other direction. A total of 12 soldiers with flamethrowers surrounded the 3. The raging fire continued to surround it. "Oh my god, how can we deal with this?" Nami said in horror. Sanji also became very anxious, and said, "Damn, these guys. There were 12 of them, and they kept pushing and spraying flames. These flames can not only cause damage and heat, but also can interfere with vision." That's the only way. Sanji kicked the wreckage of nearby buildings and smashed it towards the enemy. However, due to the loss of sight, after kicking away more than a dozen pieces of wreckage, it only hit 3 enemies. And these enemies also stood up and continued to fight. The steel protective gear they wear can effectively resist damage. "Damn it," Sanji said. Now the 3 are in an extremely suppressed situation. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded. 3 sword style. Tornado. A burst of violent tornado-like sword energy swept towards the side. The original raging fire was torn and destroyed by the tornado sword energy. For flames, small winds can actually help the flames burn. But the tornado sword energy is extremely fast and powerful. It completely destroyed the flames like a violent strong wind. "It's him," Sanji said. "I saw Zoro brandishing 3 samurai swords, entering the battlefield like a tornado sword." After the tornado sword energy destroyed the flames, Sauron came to the ground near the 3 of them. "Curly eyebrows, you don't know the weakness of these enemies. They are not afraid of anything else, but what they are most afraid of is the pipe connecting the cylinder on the back and the flamethrower in their hand. If the pipe is abolished, they are useless, Sauron said. I see, thank you very much. Chlorella head Sanji said. Pirate plant fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 458. Sanji then used it for a rest. Although Sanji rarely uses fighting, it does not mean that Sanji's hands are not powerful. Rog and Zoro, as well as Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper, who were looking forward to it, all saw Sanji cutting the killer whale in half with a wave of his trap. The cutting speed and force of Sanji's swing are very accurate. The killer whale's head, torso, whale wings, and fish tail are perfectly cut. Moreover, the internal organs were also removed, and the unusable parts were thrown into the sea to be used as food. He's so handsome, Chopper said in admiration. Is the chef's knife skills very strong? Zoro also said in a rare tone of appreciation. Among the Straw Hat Pirates, Zoro is undoubtedly the #1 swordsman. But Sanji's use of the hunting knife as a weapon is actually extremely powerful. However, Sanji's main job is a chef, so he doesn't want to use his hands to fight with tableware. Otherwise, the combat effectiveness of the Straw Hat Pirates will be further enhanced. Sanji is very powerful with his feet alone, and when he uses weapons with both hands, he is really an inverse existence. After successfully separating the meat of the killer whale, Sanji looked at the others and said, "Let's all help too. Good, all people are the Tao." Time passed quickly, and the sky was filled with stars and the incomplete moon. But the surface of the sea below was foggy. In the fog, Discovery had already furled its tall sails. This huge warship only fluctuated slightly with the sea water, and there was hardly any large-scale movement. On the deck of the Discovery, the heat was raging. Even though there was a vast mist around and above, the lights lit on the deck still illuminated the dining table brightly. On the dining table, whale steaks smeared with sauce are placed on a plate. Whale steak is topped with a tangy sauce and served with fresh strawberries. "Wow, it looks tempting enough," Usopp said seductively. Luffy looked at the whale steak and said, "It's so delicious." His mouth watered. Nami also sighed after seeing it, "Wow, it's so delicious." Sanji was very happy when he saw Nami also praised her. "This is the delicious grilled meat that I carefully cooked and baked, the grilled whale steak with sauce." In addition to the good texture of the grilled whale steak, the rich sauce can also make people linger in the mouth for a long time. And the fresh strawberries, it can be used to clear the mouth. Sanji introduced it gracefully. But when Sanji introduced it, the others had already started to feast on it. Rog, Zoro, and the Ninja King used knives and forks to cut off grilled whale steaks and stuff them into their mouths. A rich salty flavor fills your mouth. Chewing it carefully, the texture and softness of whale meat make you feel extremely delicious. Rog, Zoro, and the King of Ninja all showed smiles on their faces, and the three of them raised their wine glasses together and drank them all in one gulp. "Good to eat," the three said in unison. After Nami cut the whale meat with a knife and fork, she stuffed it into her mouth. After tasting, Nami was also full of joy. "Delicious." Nami appreciated it. Sanji's eyes were full of love and he said, "Sister Nami, it's great that you are satisfied." The spring water goddess also praised, "It's really delicious." Sanji clasped his hands together and placed them next to his face, and said, "She is truly a goddess, she can recognize delicious food." After taking a few bites, Robin said, "You should eat quickly." Sanji almost jumped up and said, "Hey, Sister Robin cares about me so much." Usopp and Chopper gobbled up the whale meat while eating strawberries. "It's so delicious," Usopp said cheerfully. "It's so delicious, I want to cry, you," Chopper said with tears in his eyes. Luffy stuffed the plate-sized whale steaks into his mouth one by one. The grilled whale steak with sauce made by Sanji is so delicious that everyone will still have an aftertaste after enjoying it. This time, Rog, Zoro, King of Ninja and Usopp all ate 7 or 8 grilled whale steaks with sauce, while Chopper ate 5. Nami, Robin, and the goddess of spring also ate 3 servings. Luffy even ate 15 servings of grilled whale steak with sauce. Of course, because Bai had gone through a fierce battle before and everyone was very tired, now they could naturally eat and drink freely. "It's so delicious," Usopp said after stroking his belly. "It's so delicious," Chopper said while lying on the chair. "Sanji is truly a talented cook," Rog said with satisfaction. "Oh, I really want to eat it," Nami said, intoxicated. She also kept clearing her mouth with orange juice. "It's indeed delicious, but I haven't eaten enough yet," Luffy said. Sanji looked at Luffy, and now Luffy is half a ball. Of course, Luffy used to eat even more exaggeratedly than a ball when nothing happened. Sanji looked at Nami and the others again and said, "The grilled whale steak with sauce is just the main course. I also have delicious side dishes." "What?" Hearing this sentence, everyone came to the spirit. Sanji then went to the side and opened a huge pot. There are a lot of Jinro meatballs in this pot. A scent hits the nostrils. With a hint of black pepper. Sanji took a plate and used a spoon to put a plate of meatballs in a good place, giving priority to Nami, Robin, and the goddess of spring water. "These are also made from whale meat," Nami said. Sanji said, "Ladies and others, these are the black pepper fried whale meatballs I made with whale meat. In addition to black pepper, there are various spices and high-quality sea salt. The heat of the frying pan is also absolutely perfect." Nami looked at these black pepper fried whale meatballs. These croquettes were indeed cooked to perfection, judging by the color alone. Sanji looked at Nami and said with a smile, "Sister Nami, please taste it." Nami picked up a black pepper fried whale meatball with a fork, put it in her mouth and chewed slowly. It is different from the rich and juicy grilled whale steak with sauce. These fried whale meatballs are dry and chewy, with spicy and spice flavors. "It's delicious," Nami praised. Sanji's face was full of joy. "Oh, this is the food of love." Sanji started to dance a little. Robin and the goddess of spring water also tasted up black pepper fried whale meatballs up. They all nodded in praise. Rog and Sauron started moving again. "Come on, keep drinking." Roger and the others drank while eating black pepper fried whale meatballs. "Too delicious." Luffy gobbled it up even more. Flocks of black pepper fried whale meatballs poured into his mouth like a rice bucket. "It's delicious," Usopp said as he ate. "There are such delicious meatballs," Chopper said happily.